Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell? Ms. Roulette? Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item will be the moment of silence. As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in any other silent activity. Thank you. Next item will be the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Abigail Anderson. Coming up to the podium, a fifth grader at Rhodes Elementary. Abigail, thank you for your patience.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a couple questions for you, Abigail. Would you be happy to answer those for us? Or can you believe you're already in the fifth grade?
Yes.
Is that shocking? You already know it. What's the best thing that's happened this year at school?
I really like going to school and seeing my friends.
It's good. You got a lot of friends?
Yeah.
Your favorite subject?
Art.
Art? That's good. Do you like painting or drawing or making things like craft stuff?
I love crafting, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, we thank you so much for coming tonight and helping us out, and we're excited for you to go to middle school next year. Which school are you going to?
Probably Sequoia.
Awesome. Can we get a picture? Awesome.
Who's here with her?
Abigail, do you have any special guests this evening? Are your parents here?
Yeah.
Can you introduce us to them?
In the back.
Any brothers or sisters?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Let's get a picture up front here.
Good job, Abigail.
Thank you.
Next item will be approval of the regular board meeting minutes for September the 11th, 2023. Entertain a motion.
I move to approve the meeting minutes.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, Mr. Elkins.
Good evening, Mr. Perry, Mr. Allen, members of the board. I'm excited to bring before you Dino Nithiandanen. Dino, why don't you come on up here? He is the owner of Waldo's Chicken. And I got to meet Dino when he was in the process of opening his restaurant right here in Broken Arrow. And in our conversations, he was talking about how he's been involved in many of our local school districts. And he was excited to be in Broken Arrow. And we talked, and I had a big ask for Dino. I went to Dino and I said, Dino, I've got about 200 plus teachers, new teachers to our district that I want to provide a meal for. would you be interested in hosting one of our new teacher orientation lunches? And without skipping a beat, he said absolutely. In the midst of opening a restaurant right here in Broken Arrow, he supported over 200 new teachers, and I just want to bring him before us and say thank you.
I don't know what to say, but I don't know if you all been to Waldo's Chicken yet, but if you have, thank you all for coming. We just finished 10 weeks, going on the 11th week, so far it has been a blast. We have another Waldo's on 71st and Yale, and one of the reasons we are here, I know everybody talking about chicken corner or whatever, why not, but since I opened this store, I lost about 12% of sales on my 71st and Yale. So that should tell you that how many people drove all the way from here to support Waldo's and 71st and Yale. So we'll keep supporting whatever we need. That's all I do, help the community, and we also fed the whole football team. The Board of Battle, I think. I gave away about pretty close to 10 grand worth of food for 4 teams in one day. So thank you for supporting us. It has been a great 10 weeks and hoping for 10 more years. Thank you, guys.
Right.
Thank you, Dino.
Thank you.
Next up, Ms. Green.
Good evening, Mr. Perry and President Allen and board members. I'm here this evening to request your approval of a very exciting donation from the Timber Ridge PTA. I do have a couple of board members here if you guys want to raise your hand and just wave. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to pull my notes up so I have the exact amount. But they donated some playground equipment for Timber Ridge in the amount of $5,753.72. along with some picnic tables that total $4,313.63.
Make a motion to approve?
I second.
Motion and a second, please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Y'all mind standing up for us? Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Next item, Ms. Barber.
Good evening, President Allen, Superintendent Perry, and members of the board. It is my great honor to be here this evening to recognize and celebrate our 5 National Merit semifinalists and 1 Commended Scholar recipient. That's items 7 and 8 on the agenda this evening. Before we recognize these students, I always want to take a moment and recognize the village that it takes to achieve something of this magnitude. Parents or guardians, we recognize that the value of education starts in the home. If you are here tonight and you are a parent or guardian of one of these amazing students, would you just acknowledge yourself by waving your hand or standing up for us?
Yes.
I think I can speak for all of us and say from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your commitment to your kids and for valuing education. It also takes teachers and counselors from all academic levels, right? Not just the high school, but middle school, elementary, early childhood. And so this evening, I've invited 2 amazing staff members with me, Gina Giddens and Alice Heckler. Ms. Giddens is our college and career counselor, and she does a phenomenal job at supporting our kids through this process of being National Merit semifinalists and then through the finalist status in the spring. She helps them get all of their documentation together to go through that process. And then Ms. Heckler is an English teacher at the high school. She teaches pre-AP English 10 and then also AP Lang, and she's a dedicated teacher. She provides rigorous, relevant, and engaging instruction every single day at the high school. So in just a moment, she's going to come up, Ms. Heckler is, and to introduce our 6 students. Students, as she introduces you, if you'll just kind of make your way to the podium and kind of remain in this area, and I know sometimes our board and superintendent want to ask a couple of questions. Students, just again, congratulations on this life-changing accolade. It really is life-changing, and we look forward to seeing how you will literally change the world. Ms. Heckler.
Good evening, President Allen, Superintendent Perry, members of the board. I am Alice Heckler, and I teach, as Mrs. Barber said, pre-AP English 10 and AP English Language and Composition. I have the unique experience of meeting some of these students as sophomores, and so watching them grow and learn and sometimes mature is a rewarding experience and part of my why. So recognizing these students for this tremendous accomplishment is important. Nevertheless, and perhaps more importantly, is recognizing that these students are more than just a test score. And so I asked them to send me a fun fact. And so that's how I will introduce them. Here we go. Ava Boswell. She loves making her own Halloween costumes out of trash that she finds. And then Ava is also a phenomenal artist. William Harris, I do not know William personally. He was not in my courses, but he was with Mrs. Lewis, my neighbor in D East, and that's my experience with William. I often see him having conversations with Mrs. Lewis, and sometimes they laugh, and sometimes it's a serious conversation, but it is a conversation with two people who mutually respect each other, and that is how I know William. Philip O. Philip likes to travel and going on long car trips. I believe he spent some time at Yale this summer.
Nice.
Brody Reed. Brody Reed's really did make me LOL, laugh out loud when I read them. He has 3 separate internal monologues that oftentimes talk to each other. I don't think that's weird, though. He also plays the drums. He has a couple of businesses, so that's Brody. Ava Skipper. She knows how to slalom water ski. But besides being incredibly intelligent, Ava demonstrates a maturity, an ability to talk to adults in a very mature manner. James Walsh. He is also incredibly intelligent, and I think he is realizing how much his intelligence and how far it is going to get him. So I think the board might have some questions.
Yep. First up, Ava, right? Hi, yeah. Come on up there, talk to us.
What would y'all like to hear?
Ava, what's your plans after high school?
I plan to study at TU.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what area, what field?
Don't laugh. Probably, I want to go into art. So preferably be an art professor one day. Yeah.
Can you tell us about like your high school experience, what you've enjoyed, either academically or socially, anything stand out?
Oh yeah, BA is a great place to go to high school in my opinion. There's just so many different people that you can meet. Like, my experience is I've gone down a lot of avenues. Like, I've been able to go down the engineering path, the art path, the academic path, and I've been able to do all of that mostly on campus. Yeah. So I get to just meet a lot of really fun people. So yeah, it's been great.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well,
We gotta ask one question.
Okay.
So the costume, what's your best costume? I mean, that's definitely an intriguing, fun fact, so.
I can share my plans for this year. So I'm planning on making an aquarium out of cardboard and like hanging little fish from the ceiling.
Right on.
I like it.
Right on. I like that.
Ava, do you have any special guests here this evening?
Yeah, my mom.
William, what's your fun fact?
I don't know because I didn't prepare one and never got the email.
How about where do you plan on going to school at, William?
Where I'm going, I don't quite know at
Yep.
this moment, as I'm still looking at colleges and where I'm going to send applications. Although I do know that wherever I end up going, I'll likely end up majoring in engineering, particularly mechanical engineering, and pairing that with computer science.
And tell us about your high school experience and how that has maybe prepared you for that field.
I would say that the biggest thing that's probably prepared me for that field has been the accelerated AP programs that BA has offered, as well as the robotics team that is first robotics team for the high school, which allows you to be able to build a robot from the ground up rather than other robotics competitions where you're giving parts and assembling them, and that unique opportunity has helped me a lot.
That's great. You all did great this year too. Awesome.
Any special guest?
My mom.
What's her name? We wanted to, when you introduce them, please tell us their names, if you don't mind.
My mom, Joni Harris.
All right, there we go. Okay, Philip.
Hello.
Hi.
World traveler.
Kind of.
Best place you've ever visited?
Best place I've ever visited. I would like to say the Rocky Mountains.
Okay.
Cool. I understand that. Tell us about your future plans and what you plan to go into.
I'm largely undecided. I don't know what I'm going to major in. Don't know where I'm going to go. I guess I just have faith that my God will take me where I'll go.
There we go.
That's awesome. Can you talk to us about your high school experience? Anything stands out that, academically or that really sets you up to where you are today to win this award?
Yeah, absolutely. So Broken Arrow as a school is obviously very large. That means it comes with a lot of diverse opportunities in order to pursue different interests. And for me, since I don't really have a set single interest, I kind of like branching out everywhere.
Yeah.
And for me, that's been like a big part of how I've developed myself as a character.
That's great. That's great. Cool.
Any special guest?
Yes, my dad, his name's Mudo.
Okay,
right.
Here we go. Brody?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good.
Your three voices in your...
Yeah, I don't
three
want to
monologues.
sound like a schizophrenic. I do tend to have multiple different voices in my head. Not always good things, not always bad things, just differing opinions that always talk on my shoulders.
Are you going to major in psychology?
No, no. I plan to study at OSU. Granted, they fork over the money.
Right.
And I want to double major in computer science and software engineering. Hopefully a master's in computer science.
Great. Can you talk about your high school experience and what set you up for this?
My whole high school experience for the first 3 years revolved around band, but unfortunately I didn't partake in that this year because I wanted to focus on academics and the other opportunities that BA offers, because it's hard to pick just one, and with picking just one, you don't have a lot of time for the others. So I've branched out this year and gotten into DECA, in Intro to Entrepreneurship, and trying to take a role in leadership this year too. And it's been good to branch out.
Special guest.
I have my dad and my mom, Zach and Cheryl Reed.
Is it Ava?
Yes.
Okay. How are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You look like you're very comfortable up there speaking.
Yes.
All right.
So tell us about what your plans are.
So right now, my first choice college, if I can get in, is looking like Stanford. I'm planning on applying early decision to double major in education and political science.
That's great. She helps out. You didn't talk about what you're doing 6th hour every day?
Yes, I intern at Rhodes Elementary. It's my favorite part of my day. I go in the mornings and the afternoons. It's really cool being a part of seeing I'm in a kindergarten class, so it's the very beginning of their education, and for me it's the end of my high school education, so that's very cool for me.
We'd like to offer a teacher contract now, so log her in.
You've got the right people here. We'll have you on the next agenda. Any special guests this evening, Ava?
Yes, my parents, Allison and Jeremy Skipper, are back there.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, James?
Yes, that
Good
is me.
evening.
You may have noticed that my fun fact back there wasn't very fun. I've got a problem looking at my email. Miss Heckler sent that out. She was like, I'm a fun fact about you. I think I saw that today in 5th hour, and I think I thought about it. I definitely thought about it. I remember seeing it, but I didn't look at it. And to be completely honest with you, I don't know if I'm necessarily the most, I don't think I'm necessarily indicative of this award. I'm a smart guy. My name's on the paper. I got a good score on the test, but I think a lot of my teachers who have had experiences with me know that, I'm not the most hardworking guy necessarily. I'm a distraction, to put it that way. Elementary school, does not work well with others, too loud with others. They had to separate me a long time ago. But I'm working on it. I'm trying to become better. I'm trying to work hard, really show off the merit in the national merit semifinals. Because I think I'm a little bit lacking.
Well, we don't think so.
Okay.
What's your future plans?
Georgia Tech biomedical engineering, but I've always wanted to do stand-up comedy.
Shocking. That's great.
You definitely have a future.
Yes.
You definitely have a future.
Yeah.
Either way.
Either way.
Either one of those, you're going to be just fine at. Any special guests this evening?
Not tonight, but, my friends.
Sure. And I'd just like to say to all of you, we are so proud. It is such a well-deserved honor. It doesn't happen by accident. It's a lot of hard work. And I know I was asking you about your high school experience, but this is a K through 12, work in progress. It's not just the high school. It's years of building, and we just appreciate you. You're a shining light for Broken Arrow Public Schools. Please know that, and we don't take it lightly at all that you've earned this level of recognition. Proud of you.
Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. You want to get a picture?
Can we get a picture?
Yeah, up front here.
Come up front.
Can you all come up front? Parents, come on down if you'd like.
Right in the middle there.
Thank you.
Forgot to wear fancy clothes.
You look nice to me.
Stand in the back.
You look great.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Congratulations.
Great job.
Good job. Next item, Ms. Replogle. Fresh from the golf course.
Yes, we made it. Mr. Perry, Mr. Allen, and members of the board, I'm here to recognize Mr. Reese Hunley. The Tulsa Regional STEM Alliance announced Mr. Hunley as the winner of the high school category for the Siegfried Excellence in STEM Award. He was given $2,500 and an invitation to the Flight Night Gala, benefiting the Tulsa Regional STEM Alliance. It was on September 14th. At the gala, he was also awarded the STEM Educator of the Year and received an additional $2,500 for his classroom. What makes this award even more special is that only 2 years ago, he left behind a successful career as an engineer and an entrepreneur to embark on his teaching journey at Vanguard Academy. He has embraced this role as an educator and revolutionized it through his human-centered design, Outward Bound, and primitive skills classes. These awards will undoubtedly amplify his impact and allow him to continue inspiring innovators of tomorrow. Mr. Hunley's journey from engineer to educator exemplifies the power of dedication and transformation.
His story is a testament to boundless possibilities when passion, innovation, and education converge. Please join me in recognizing Mr. Reese Hunley.
I mean, I'm surrounded by people that make me better. Our students, our teachers, principals, our cabinet, our board. How could I not be successful when I'm surrounded by these people? So I'm really grateful to be a part of this team. I'm excited for the future that we have because, I mean, we're just getting started. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll say, if y'all haven't got a chance to watch his podcast, our ArrowVision podcast, yeah, I was blown away by your background and what you bring to the classroom every day. Very impressive. So, well deserved.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really cool to come to work every day with teachers that are excited to go to work every day, work around people that, I mean, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking about what am I going to do the next day, like in a good way, like yeah. I'm inspired, yeah. You know, and it's affirming that we're doing good work. It's making a difference, and I'm proud to be a part of that.
We appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you to Tulsa Regional STEM Alliance as well. They have been incredibly supportive of me.
Great.
So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, Mr. Dykes.
Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Perry, members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight about the energy program. I'm going to introduce my boss to speak over just one slide here. His name is Jesse Coulter.
Thank you, board. We're just going over the energy program. I kind of want to go over the objectives we have for the energy program here at Broken Arrow. So those are the cost savings. We're going after reducing the energy consumption, optimizing the buildings that are out there, and then, of course, doing ensuring that we're educating everybody on a culture of sustainability.
The energy program started in March of 2017. Since then, we've saved almost $5 million off of utility costs. That's water, natural gas, and electricity, of course. This $5 million takes into account the changes in utility prices, which have just skyrocketed over the years, and of course weather as well, because the weather is a little different each year. That reduction is 22.8% of our utilities that we've been able to reduce. The energy use index is how much energy the buildings use per square foot. And so it's an easy way to compare each building to each other. So you're not just comparing a high school to an early childhood center. Our energy use index looks at electricity and natural gas and how much we use. And when we first started and base year back in 2016, we looked at the base year from 2016 to 2017. It was 46.4. The average for the area is around 53. So we were already below average, which we want. We want to be below average here. So that was a good thing. It made my job even harder when I started. But currently we're at 37. So that's well below average. And this is just a nice chart of over the last 3 years or so. You can kind of see that red line at the top is the base year, and then the lines underneath are where we are now and how much less energy we are using compared to that base year. Then you see a little dip in green there with COVID.
All right, I kind of go over the commodity cost, the changes, and that's something that we can't control the cost. So we just wanted to kind of go over. You see that the electricity is up about 61%. Natural gas is up 91%, and water and sewage is up 30%. And that's why it makes it so important to reduce the consumption, because although we can control consumption, we can't control costs. And that being said, just over since the 2016, the current rate of electricity, natural gas, and water and sewage would have increased your utility bill by almost $1.4 million.
How many square feet have we added since then?
Almost an entire high school, almost 500,000 square foot between a couple of elementary schools and adding on to Freshman Academy and Sequoia and the high school, of course.
Yeah.
Is it on now?
There we go. All right.
I'm Carrie DeBose with Synergistic, and we are pleased to be here tonight to recognize Broken Arrow Public Schools with the Best in Class Award. This is a highest achievement award that's reserved for model energy conservation programs. And so due to the efforts here of leadership and building staff and students, and of course the maintenance and operations team, as well as Jaden, the energy specialist, we just want to say congratulations on your efforts and thank you for serving as a model for energy stewardship for school districts across the nation. So some of the criteria for Best in Class Award are a very high reduction in energy consumption, and we also have 20% of your energy use here has been reduced, 23% in avoided costs, and in greenhouse gases, that's equivalent to 95,320,947 miles not driven. So again, the total savings for this program has been just under $5 million. So we want to present you with a banner. We also, Synergistic is going to present a check for $250,000, or $2,500. Not $250,000.
Our foundation people, did you hear what they just said?
$2,500 to go towards scholarships. So, Jaden, who do you want to? Would you all want to come down so we can present the banner and the check?
Ms. Doolin is here from the BA Foundation to accept the check. I'd also like to, this program wouldn't be successful without the support of our maintenance and operations team. So I was going to invite Roger Shepard and James Butler up to accept the plaque for this wonderful award.
Mr. Dykes, that check is missing some zeros, I noticed.
I told her that we would check next week.
Congratulations. Great job, Roger. Okay, next item will be our legislative update by Ms. Sharon James.
Hello, good evening, President Allen, Mr. Perry, and members of our board. As I've transitioned into my new position, one of the responsibilities and things that Mr. Perry has asked me to do is to bring a legislative update so that we can keep you guys informed and in the loop, and also our community, as things that change at the legislative level really impact what we're doing and the things that we have, and sometimes hardships, sometimes positives, but we're going to keep you in the loop. So some of the things I want to talk to you about this evening, first of all, Mr. Perry had me attend Senator Pugh's Education Committee back in July. It was end of July. And really what they talked about, he wanted to go forward. He's supporting public education. One of the things he wanted to know were what were some hardships that superintendents and other delegates from districts brought to him. Some of those things were the increasing rates for insurance rates. OSIG is really expensive. Some districts struggled to say they don't qualify. They're too big, they're too small. I'm not really sure on the ins and outs. I was going to get with Natalie and try to learn a little bit more about it, but that was one of the things they brought to the table. Also, we are struggling for teachers, as we all know. So one of the things they thought they could do is with retirement. If we could incentivize teachers to stay around a little bit longer and not penalize them so much when they want to return after retirement, they felt like that would be helpful. Or incentivize them to stay before they go to retirement, enter retirement at that point. So those were things that were brought up that they wanted to talk about and see if Senator Pugh could, represent and speak to that as he went before the other legislators. Another additional thing I wanted to bring to everybody's attention is Oklahoma House Bill 1041 was amended, which amended our Oklahoma statute at 11-103.6. What that means for us is in the past, we've always had one diploma for all students. What has come about in legislation is they feel that our high school diploma is aligned with our Oklahoma standards, okay, where we're not leaving anything out. We're saying when we give a student a diploma that they have hit or mastered every single standard that the state has outlined for us to miss. Unfortunately, with some of our children with their most significant cognitive disabilities, they're not hitting all of those standards because they're modified for them, and we obviously should do that. But the legislation is stating that because of that, students who are designated as that and who take the Oklahoma Alternative Assessment during state testing will not qualify for a diploma. So what they're doing is offering an alternate diploma for them at that point. So basically, there could be two pathways for a student who may be receiving special education services with us. A majority of our students are going to go through, they're not being modified. We provide accommodations. We help them as they learn all of those state standards. But we do have a small group of children and students who are not meeting that, and so they will receive the alternate diploma. Now, the key point that Daleen Thornton has pressed into us too is that this does not end fate for those students. So let's say they choose to get their diploma, say we're hitting that, they can still return and say, no, we're not ready, we want to come back into school, and we provide services until they're 22. We have kind of gotten started on this about a year ago when this started coming in, and our team started working, and Ms. Thornton brought it to Dr. Dias to really say we need to implement a transition for those students who are in this position, that we can provide a transitional learning center or education for them so that we can work with them to provide those skills they need, those life skills, and hopefully work with partners that would help support that. That's being housed at our Options Academy right now. We have 6 students who are enrolled. It's a really cool thing. When we did some adjustments and building adjustments to the Option Academy, that was one of the pieces they worked on. So we're excited about that. So the next thing is that at this point, we're really not into legislation or voting yet. It hasn't really started, but what they've started is interim studies. So there's a couple that I feel like we should keep on our radar. One of them is the study on graduation requirements. They're trying to sit in a study and to make recommendations to the legislation of how we can modernize the requirements we're having. It stood out to me as our students for National Merit said, we have so many opportunities for students. The problem is the requirements are getting in the way. It causes a challenge for kids. They're having to do 2 world languages or 2 computers. You know, we have to do personal financial literacy, art competency, CPR. We have so many things that students are sometimes having to choose, do I meet this requirement so I can graduate, or do I have a work-based learning experience, or enroll in concurrent enrollment, or Tulsa Tech, or a million other options that we have available to them. So I feel like this is important for us to look at. It's something our district has been having conversations in the past, but I think we need to continue having that. And hopefully have a voice at the table to say, we don't need all those requirements. If they're wanting us to get in the workforce, which is, I feel like, and we all feel is the most important, they're gonna have to do away with some of these things that are unfunded, first of all, and secondly, that are not as important, I feel like, as the work-based learning. The next thing is our A to F. As you know, in the spring we presented what our scores were and what our grade was on the accountability report card that all school districts receive in the state. So the study right now is looking into recommendations for some changes. One of the pieces in the A to F is our chronic absenteeism. It is tough because there's really not anything we can control. There are things that are outside of our domain and control that influence the grade that really doesn't voice what we're doing or what we've tried to intervene on or how we've tried to support students. So they're really talking about doing away with that piece, possibly. The other components is a single summative score. Okay, you made a D or you made a B. That really isn't, they feel like that's not the best way to do it. We're only one of 7 states that even have this type of, we have report cards, a majority of them have report cards, but only like 7 of us have these specific things that we're measured on. So there's additional other states that use different metrics, and that's what they want to look at and make some of those changes. Also, the use of a bell curve. They're wanting to look at that because they feel like that does impact a lot of the grades and the things that our districts are receiving. I hope that makes sense.
Ms.
So,
James, when will they
yes, please.
know about the attendance factor of the report card?
It will require legislative changes because it is the A to F, so it would have to take place in the spring for them to do that. So it probably wouldn't go into effect. Even if they could possibly do it in May, I would think, after that comes about. So maybe it would be eligible where they immediately put it in place by September 1. But I don't see it any sooner than that, but that's my uneducated guess on that, so.
My understanding's right. I mean, if a kid doesn't come to school, the district gets punished.
Correct, yeah, after 10 days, so think about that.
Even if we're supplying transportation and they still don't get on that transportation and come to school, we still get punished.
Correct.
I see the logic in that.
Yeah, and 10 days is really not a lot. You can get flu in about 4 or 5 days, right? And you only have 5 days for the rest of the year, and that's tough. You have death in your family. You have things outside. Even some students are, yes, sometimes they're choosing not to attend. They're avoiding school, but some are not. It's just things that happen naturally that we all experience. So it is a tough metric to meet. Also is maybe considering a tier approach to this, okay? So I don't know what that looks like. That's kind of what they put it like, are there different levels of support? So Broken Arrow, we could say, if we're providing support for our students on how to attend, we have home visits, we're providing social services, we're providing support, that would give us a higher score because they're showing that we are intervening with our students, that we're not, so that would say, hey, they're trying to meet that. And they have things in place to help catch those kiddos and put that net, but right now we don't have that tiered approach. So hopefully that would be a great benefit to us. And last but not least, concurrent enrollment issues that continue to exist. I think it speaks for itself. Some legislation require, like we have to give a right of refusal to certain colleges or university when we do concurrent enrollment, so that is still up for discussion. Unfortunately, that was put before education. Help me out, Mr. Perry, too, if I misspeak. But it was put before in legislation this past year, which means it can't be brought back up for a vote for 2 more years. So I think they're trying to get into a study to really say, what could we do to make a difference in the concurrent enrollment rules and law, that kind of thing. So
That is correct.
So any other questions or anything I can work on in the future that you would like for us to delve into and make sure?
I think these are all helpful.
Okay.
I think it's very helpful that our community knows these things, and they know the challenges, but just these things from a grading standpoint that, the district's not a police force, so how do you make these kids come to school and you still get punished and graded as a result of them not coming? So I just think if we can continue to educate us and the community, that'd be very helpful.
Absolutely. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next item are comments from the public. We have none. Next item will be number 13, general consent items 14 through 58.
Make a motion to approve.
A second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, Mr. Olahan. Good to see you.
Good evening. I'm here to give the treasurer's report as of the end of September. In the activity funds, our receipts at the end of September total $1,533,000. Disbursements total $1,192,000, with an ending cash balance in the activity funds of $6,102,000. Any questions? Treasurer's report, cash balances at the end of September show assets in the amount of $77,624,000. Investments total $63,638,000. Our collateral report shows a total of $27,362,000 in collateral pledged to the district. Our deposits that require collateral are $19,728,000, leaving an available balance of collateral to us in the amount of $7,635,000. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Olin, I have one real quick. What's the rate that we're getting on our investments that you're seeing?
My best rate right now is 5.32%. I've never seen it that high as long as I've been treasurer. It's a lot more fun to invest now.
Thank you. Next item, Ms. Sapp.
Hi, good evening. The first item I have tonight is for the change orders for the date range of September 7th through October 4th. The change reflects a decrease of $489,953.07. And I'm recommending approval on these.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve?
A second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, Ms. Sapp.
And the last item I have is for the encumbrance report. The date range is September 7th through October 5th, and it reflects the encumbrances of $1,609,084.95.
Questions?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Next item, Ms. Enif.
Good evening, Mr. Perry, Mr. Allen, members of the board. So we are through the first quarter of the 24 fiscal year, and you can see we've had a lot of changes occur between fiscal year ending in 23 and starting fiscal year 24 with the legislative changes that occurred with the certified salary increases, the support pay raise that we approved earlier in the year. And so you can see the reflection of state aid. We have received 2 months of state aid so far. Our initial allocation is just north of $73 million. We will receive a midterm allocation in January that will reflect our official October accredited numbers. And at this point, our enrollment was not as aggressive as what we had seen in fiscal year 23. And so that's a relief just on the building operations side in terms of capacity for us to be able to catch up a little bit. But on the funding side, we were able to utilize some of the positions that we approved last year to help balance class sizes. And so our state aid should remain relatively consistent with the initial allocation that we received in July. Ad valorem is the second biggest category that we'll see reflected in January when the first half of payments are due, and then again in April. And then our state and federal sources are really regulating from what we've seen with COVID dollars expiring and ESSER dollars being spent. We are carrying over a very modest amount of those dollars as we start to really shift back to relying on our state and ad valorem dollars. Again, in building fund, ad valorem is the main driver of this fund, although we are forecasted to receive a significant amount of Redbud funding this year. That allocation has not been finalized yet, but we are hoping once those funds materialize to really see a boost in revenue in this fund. Legislatively, last year it was passed from basically a cash collection fund to a state appropriated fund, and so that's why so many schools were added to that funding list. And child nutrition, their revenue is, again, going on from the universal free to back to the paid system. And our child nutrition department has been working very hard to get all of the free and reduced applications counted and verified for those October numbers. So in our general fund expenditures, salaries and benefits, the largest category, the one-time retention stipend that the board approved that was dispersed at the end of July reflects in these numbers. So that's the outlier for what we're seeing in salaries. And then in building fund, a good portion of building fund was utilized to pay part of our insurance premium at the beginning of the year, which as Ms. James alluded to in her presentation, has become a very costly item for the district. Total premium this year reflected over $5 million for the district. In child nutrition, we're really hoping that their expenses stabilize this year. as inflation has started to ease a little bit with the cost of food and supplies. But we are still being very mindful and watching those expenses because that is the majority of what child nutrition expenditures are directed for. And our fund balance projection at this point, we have utilized about $4.5 million for the one-time stipend. Currently, we are at a little over $3.5 million of expenses versus revenue, with the large portion of that being kind of the question mark around Red Bud funding. Once that is confirmed, we'll hopefully be able to shift some more expenses to building fund to free up general fund for the additional positions and raises that were added and approved this year.
Ms. Enoff, what do you think the adjusted rate's going to be? Is it down from what you anticipated it to be for the midterm adjustment?
At this point, we're not expecting the state to make any adjustments in terms of adding dollars to the formula. It will really just depend on kind of how some of our subpopulation groups have increased. If we see an increase in our gifted count, in our special ed count, our EL count, some of those weights have been adjusted. The other weight that was significantly increased this year was the transportation weight. It went from 1.39 to 2, and so that will help us definitely offset some of our transportation expenses.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Next item, Ms. Enoff.
My next item is to ask the board to approve the renewal applications for our Booster Club sanctioned organizations. You can see them all listed there. This item was postponed to this board meeting from September because Mr. Dunn helped organize a sanctioning meeting in conjunction with our attorney, Mr. Bo Rainey, through RFR. On September 13th, and that meeting was basically a refresher on the do's and don'ts of sanctioning, very beneficial for our parents, Booster Club presidents and treasurers in attendance. In sum total, we had 87 people in attendance at that meeting. The presentation was also put online as a reference, and so as we have transitioned into sanctioning, again, we could not be more appreciative of the parent support that we have seen behind these student organizations, and just so appreciate the passion behind what goes into making these organizations successful, because it's not an accident, it's definitely intentional.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
A second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, Ms. Enoff.
My last item is to ask for the renewal sanctioning of our Parent-Teacher Association Council and the individual elementary and secondary school sites. And I would just echo the gratitude and thanks for our PTA units for all the support that they show our students and teachers on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sir. Recommend approval.
Number 65.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm on 65.
Yep.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
A second.
We got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, Mr. Stecker.
Good evening, everyone. My item I have tonight is for information only. It's the first reading of multiple new board policies that we have. This is from RFR with a policy pack that we received after the legislative session last spring. As you'll see, the intent is to bring it back in November 6th for the second reading and action item at that time. They've been uploaded in Basecamp, and that information is there. So I just want to also want to thank all the committees that's worked on it. We have 21 policies this year, so it's been a lot of work by a lot of people.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Stecker. Next item, Mr. Blackburn.
Good evening. Bring to your attention tonight the opioid abatement grant. It literally is a letter of intent for us to go and apply. We haven't received a lot of information in regards to this grant. It literally was plopped in my lap about a week before, and wanted to get this on, basically on the agenda because we have a deadline of, I believe, the 15th in order to give them our letter of intent. There's a meeting on the 12th to provide additional guidance. I do know in looking at the state law, it allows us to go for items that will either pay for prevention strategies, awareness, education, dangers of opioid use, and then Narcan as well. How to educate our students on the dangers of the use of opioids.
Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
I second.
Motion and a second, please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item's new business. We have none. The next item will be to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I second.
Motion and a second, please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Yes. Thank you all for your patience.
Do what?